MSNBC chief legal correspondent and host of The Beat on MSNBC, R.A. Melber, and senior writer for the Weekly Standard, Michael Warren, joins us as well. Okay, let's go through this. First of all, the profanity, Stephanie, Wall Street. This is how it goes?
You don't know.
Steve
Bannon might know some sort of tantric yoga moves. So before we judge, who knows?
But all of the F-bombs.
We needed Stephanie to come on and really.
You don't know.
Who speaks this way? Anybody?
Listen, who speaks this way? I'll tell you who likes the way Anthony Scarmucci spoke yesterday. Donald J. Trump. And that is who Anthony is working for. It's who he's performing for. For Donald Trump, Reince Priebus in the White House represents the GOP. That is Paul Ryan's Wisconsin friend, and the GOP, Donald Trump feels like doesn't truly back him, and we see that. So Reince is a cancer that Anthony can walk in and whack, and that's what he's doing.
I'm going to ask all of you, Michael Warren, I'll start with you. What's the concern about this financial disclosure document? I'm confused. It's public. It's not a felony to release it publicly because it's public. And can you really accuse someone and defame them publicly on Twitter as the White House communications director? And why so upset? Why so sensitive?
He's not even
about the financial document?
hired officially.
Well, I think Anthony Scarmucci proved you can, do this to Reince Priebus, make this sort of false accusation. Look, I think he's probably a little annoyed by having this out there, but it's more likely a pretext for getting rid of Reince Priebus. I think this is very clear from, you read the Ryan Lizza article, this was something that, a phone call that happened after the dinner with the president. Very obvious that this was sanctioned by the president for Scarmucci to speak this way, or at least to sort of push to move Reince Priebus out of the way. And so I think that really, it can't be, overstated how important that is. So this is something that's coming from the president himself. He wants Reince Priebus, perhaps he wants Steve Bannon out of the way as well. And it does make you wonder if this is the case, if this is really what the president wants to do, why doesn't he just do it himself? And I think those are some of the questions that people like Reince Priebus are weighing right now. Do I leave and give the president what he wants, or do I stick around and make him essentially do this?
Okay, just gonna get Stephanie to weigh in on this too, because there's a lot of money involved. You and Donnie were talking about this. Just want to let you know, Jesse Rodriguez just texted me. Failure Friday is #1 top trending.
There you go.
There you go. Failure Friday. Well, no, there you go. White House. Okay. So, Failure Friday. They really, wow. Okay.
Failure Friday is what Anthony Scarmucci cannot afford to have. Anthony is there for many reasons. He loves President Trump.
Well, what's in those documents?
But in order for Anthony to work in the White House, he needs to sell his company, Skybridge Capital. And it is complicated. Think of it like you own a co-op in New York City with a really bad layout, and there is only one buyer. And that one buyer is a complicated Chinese conglomerate called HNA that could potentially have ties to the Chinese government. So that type of deal has to get approved by a government agency that vets foreign investments.
Let me talk about HNA also.
Wow.
HNA, there's a lot of questions about that as an institution, back to the point that B of A will not do business with them. So we have, he's selling to an institution that one of our largest financial institutions has issues doing business with.
They have, hold on, no, HNA has lots of things here. They own a big stake in Hilton. The government has approved other deals. Last year, they spent $20 billion abroad, but just this week, we know that the agency turned them down on a deal. Anthony has to get this deal through. If he does, it's a $180 million sale where he will pocket $90 million.
What deal are you talking about? Because he says he's doing this because he loves the country and he loves the president.
I'm sure he loves both. But in order to get that job, he's got to sell his company. And he cannot sell that company without government approval. You know who runs that agency? Mnuchin.
Can I make one point on
wow.
Well, 2 points. 2 points on Failure Friday. Number one, there's a distinction in hip-hop between real gangsters and studio gangsters.
Wow.
Anthony Scarmucci is a studio gangster, okay? He's so tough that when he wants to say something to Steve Bannon, he calls the New Yorker magazine in liberal New York and says it to someone else. This is classic studio gangster behavior. It is not tough. It is not strong. It is not how you look someone face to face. If he has an issue with Bannon, you should say something to Bannon. Point number two.
Yeah.
Can we just take one moment here on this morning on
I like Barbie.
Failure Friday.
On Failure Friday, on terms, and note that on Obamacare, something that President Trump campaigned on and the Republicans said they cared about,
And promised the
and
American
pledged the
people.
American people, the closing arguments going into last night when you had this dramatic overnight vote and healthcare hung in the balance, the closing arguments from this White House were, number one, I hate my attorney general, and number two, my staff are fighting with each other, but not in person like a real adult, but fighting with each other through the intermediary of the New Yorker magazine. That was the closing arguments of Obamacare. That's part of why they failed.
Let me ask Michael Warren. Michael, do you think there's maybe that Trump brought Scarmucci into the White House to humiliate these people, to get them out, and that this HNL deal is the deal that they'll say, look, he just can't have this job because of a conflict of interest, or is that just too conspiratorial?
I think you're probably giving too much credit to the president there. I think he likes Anthony Scarmucci. I think he's, in many ways, Scarmucci is Trump's id, if we can imagine that. And he likes that he's got somebody who's sort of unconditionally arguing against outsiders on behalf of the president. And the president feels, I think with some justification, that he has people working underneath him who are talking badly about him, sometimes to the press. This is the kind of the way things work in Washington. Scarmucci sort of brought in to shake that up, but he's sort of bringing in some more additional problems, not just the financial problems, but PR problems. He's the communications director, and he's sort of spouting off to Ryan Liz about this. This is a classic example of the Trump administration taking a small problem and fixing it with another one.
Stephanie, before you go, Michael Warren, thank you. Just, I know you have a show to do, but you know Anthony Scarmucci.
I do.
He seems so amped up. What's
Listen,
that?
he is a great salesman. He's a passionate
Really?
guy. Yeah, listen, it's what he does for a
He
living.
goes out and he raises money to give to hedge funds. He's a salesman.
You might not like used car salesmen, but really good ones sell a lot of cars. And he has sold a lot of cars in his life. He, though, is in the deep end of the pool. And Donald Trump loves watching Anthony put on this show, but Donald Trump would also love firing him. He doesn't care. They're all pawns. Anthony's going to do some dirty work, try to get Reince and Bannon out, which could be great for all of them. And if a new chief of staff like Secretary Kelly comes in, he's not going to have somebody with a conflict of interest.
And on the deep end of the pool, you want to tread water to save energy. Okay, Stephanie Rule, thank you very much. We'll be handing off coverage to you at 9 a.m. in just a few minutes, and we will be watching. Thank you. So this morning, we read from Peggy Noonan's new opinion piece, and it's worth an encore on this very special day. That's next on Morning Joe. Again, Peggy Noonan's piece in the Wall Street Journal. It's entitled, Trump is Woody Allen without the humor. And the great Peggy Noonan says this: the president's primary problem as a leader is not that he is impetuous, brash, or naive. It's not that he's inexperienced, crude, and outsider. It's that he is weak and sniveling. It's that he undermines himself almost daily by ignoring traditional norms and forms of American masculinity. He's not strong and self-controlled, not cool and tough, not low-key and determined. He's whiny, weepy, self-pitying. He's a drama queen. His public brutalizing of Attorney General Jeff Sessions isn't strong, cool, and deadly. It's limp, lame, and blubbery. His inability, not his refusal, but his inability to embrace the public and rhetorical role of his presidency consistently and constructively is weak. Meanwhile, the whole world is watching, a world that contains predators. How could they not be seeing this weakness, confusion and chaos, and thinking it's a good time to cause some trouble? How could they? Rick Sandel?
Nelson Mandela said the one word that should describe every leader is measured. Donald Trump is the most unmeasured man we've ever seen.
Especially as a president. Ari?
Chaos is a mood, not a strategy. If you do not like Donald Trump's agenda, the good news on this failure-filled week is that he is doing more chaos and less governing.
It is Failure Friday. Rick?
I'll say it again. I think this presidency is effectively over. We don't effectively have a chief of staff. We don't have a comms director. We don't have anything that's working.
Donnie?
#win.
Okay, Yamish, final thoughts from you this morning.
I think
win.
Americans are waiting for their government to work for them, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. People all over the world and really all over the country are hoping that President Trump functions in some way and Congress functions in some way that actually betters lives.